People might really enjoy and thrive off of a lot of interactions with people, whereas I might get confused and overwhelmed more easily. On the other hand, I really enjoy one-on-one interactions, and it's much easier for me to focus if it's just a one-on-one interaction. Life can be very lonely because I think subconsciously people tend to basically fail at or not do well and feel bad about themselves when they interact with other people. And looking back on my life, I realized I kind of closed more and more in on myself because I wasn't having a lot of social success. And even though I was getting great grades in school and I was like the smartest girl in class, but I was the nerdy, quiet type. And so I had problems keeping friends, making friends, and for me, like I like things to be explicit and stated. Like for example, you know, I'm your friend, I like you. And people don't say that. Maybe you say that in kindergarten, but adults don't really say that. And if that's not said, I might not know, and I might have a lot of anxiety over, are we friends? You know, does that person like me? I think people with that tend to feel, at least I do, tend to feel so insecure about the whole friendship thing and the relationship thing, and you know, whose move is it now? Am I supposed to call you, or do I wait till you call? And what does it mean when you said, you know, let's go to lunch? Does that really mean you want to go to lunch, or are you just saying that to be polite? People do tend to be highly sensitive, and in a lot of ways. I think that we generally have a lot of empathy for other people, and it's a myth out there that people with don't have empathy. I think that if somebody tells me a story about somebody that's hurting, I mean, I have so much empathy, I can feel it in my body, or I might relate so much, but I might be so saddened that I'm quiet, you know. So it seems like, wow, I'm being cold or aloof, but really inside I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for that person. And I know for me, I have a delay. I don't have a delay that much anymore, but when I'm very emotional, I have a delay, a speech delay, where it's so hard for me to talk. So anyway, I think that people have a lot of empathy for other people, which is a gift because we have a lot of compassion for other people. But I had so much anxiety thinking that I had to already know something before it was taught to me. And so I think the thing that was missing was the idea that people are going to help me, people are going to be connecting with me, people are going to be assisting me, and that I don't have to know anything from the start. So I think the point there is the idea of people helping and assisting, because I think as do feel isolated a lot and like they have to do everything on their own. And I know that's one of the traits, that they're unaware when they need help, because sometimes they feel like they're in their own little world and nobody's there. Nobody's going to help them. Nobody understands them. And that's not true, but I think it's important to reach into worlds and make it very clear that you're in their world and that they're not alone. Because if you really feel that isolated, it's really a horrible feeling. I tend to have different ideas about personal space. You know, sometimes we stand too close to people. I know for myself that if I like somebody, I want to hug them. And you know, according to social protocol, it might be too soon to hug somebody that you feel warm about, but you kind of don't know that person in that way. So sometimes people maybe need a little more training on, who you're going to hug, who you're going to stand close to, who you're going to stand afar apart from. And I know that I tend to be more physically affectionate than maybe people, and sometimes sometimes that's misinterpreted. I think of it as I'm just trying to express my my warmth for somebody, but it might not be appropriate at certain times. And another thing about personal spaces, if I'm standing near somebody and they're talking to me and I'm nervous, I might just look down at the floor and talk the whole time at the floor, and because I'm too nervous to look at them in the eyes. Yeah, my dad definitely, he has a hard time with eye contact. I think it's because we get overwhelmed by the personal connection. So for me, like I said, I think for me, physical touch is a way of connecting, but looking someone in the eyes is almost too much. So sometimes I do look to the side or look away, even though they feel like they're really connecting with that person, but it seems like they're talking over here, but it's weird because they probably do really feel connected to you, but they just can't look at you, at least for too long, because it's like, oh my gosh, there's a person there, and it's like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it's kind of like there's so much information coming in, and I've got to concentrate on what I need to say, and it's too much, I believe that it's too much data coming in for me, that I can't, if they're talking to me, I'm listening to what they're saying. It's hard for me to look at their whole body language at the same time as processing the words. So I think that I rely more on the words they say. That's why if someone says, let's go to lunch, I hear that, and maybe their body language is saying, oh, I really don't want to go to lunch with you. I am just saying that to be polite, but I miss that whole message. So I've tried to work on getting better at reading body language, but I just think that for me, especially if I'm nervous, it's very hard for me to interpret body language. I rely more on the words and believe pretty much what people say as the truth.